What you are about to learn has existed long before any modern self-help book, any motivational speaker, and any productivity framework ever written. These are the 12 universal laws, the foundational principles that govern how reality actually works. If you stay with this until the end and listen carefully, you will walk away with a complete understanding of the invisible architecture that is quietly shaping every outcome in your life right now. Most people live their entire lives without ever learning these laws. They experience their effects constantly, the unexpected opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere, the recurring patterns that follow them from one chapter of life to the next, the uncanny coincidences that feel too specific to be random, but they never understand the mechanism behind any of it. They attribute their results to luck, to timing, to the actions of other people, to spiritual or supernatural forces entirely outside their reach. And as long as that attribution holds, nothing fundamentally changes. Today, that changes. I am going to guide you through the 12 universal laws, what they are, why they work, and how to use them. One important thing to keep in mind as we go: these principles don't work on their own, they're always influencing each other. The deeper you truly understand one, the easier and clearer it becomes to understand the ones that follow. By the time we reach the 12th, the full picture will be clear, and you'll start to see these principles at work in your own life in a way that can change the direction of your life. Law number 1, the law of divine oneness. This is the foundation upon which every other law rests, and without understanding it, the other 11 will never fully land. The law of divine oneness states that everything in existence is connected. Every person, every event, every thought, every atom. All of it is part of a single unified field. There is no true separation. What appears to be separate is, at its deepest level, one expression of the same underlying reality. Quantum physics shows something strange, but real. When two particles interact, they stay connected, even if they are far apart. If one changes, the other changes at the same time, no matter the distance. Scientists once thought this idea was too strange, but experiments have proven it again and again. What this means for you is simple. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions don't just stay inside you. They move outward and affect the world around you, even in ways you may not notice. To apply this law in your life, start by cultivating genuine empathy as a daily practice. Learn to care about others in a real way. Try to understand how they feel. When you understand at a real level that the person across from you is not truly separate, that their pain and their happiness exist within the same web you inhabit, the way you treat them starts to change, and you make better choices. Pay attention to what's going on inside you. Your thoughts and feelings don't just stay hidden. They show up in how you act and how you affect others. What's happening inside you always finds a way out, and the universe is always receiving the signal. Law number 2, the law of vibration. Nothing in the universe is ever truly still. Everything is always moving. Even something as small as a grain of sand has tiny particles inside it that are always active, and your brain is constantly sending electrical signals right now. This is real science. The law of vibration states that your thoughts and your emotions are not just sitting there. They are active, they carry frequency, and they affect everything that happens around you. This is why two people can walk into the same room and feel completely different. One person feels calm right away, while the other feels tense and doesn't even know why. A place can hold on to what has happened there before, and each person's internal frequency will react with it in their own way. On a bigger level, this is why certain places seem to lead to certain results. It also explains why the people you spend the most time with have a strong influence on how your life turns out. To use this in real life, you don't need big dramatic changes. What matters is being consistent. Monitor the dominant frequency of your inner life. Start paying attention to what's going on inside you every day. Are you usually thinking in a fearful and doubtful way? Or are you more calm, thankful, and open to what's possible? You cannot sustain, adjust, or change a frequency you don't notice. So first, learn to be aware of your thoughts and feelings. Then, little by little, choose the ones that match the kind of life you actually want. Law number 3, the law of action. Understanding the first 2 laws without this one is like knowing how a car works but never starting it. The law of action states that intention alone produces nothing. You have to move. You have to take deliberate, aligned, consistent movement in the direction of what you are building. Ideas without action stay as ideas. Wanting something without doing anything about it stays a wish. The only way what's inside you becomes real on the outside is through action. Anything meaningful people have achieved in human history didn't come from just sitting and believing. It came from taking action. If you only believe but don't act, that belief fades as soon as things get hard. If you act but don't believe, you'll likely give up when results don't show up fast. You need both. When you believe and take action at the same time, what you build starts to grow step by step. From the outside, it may look extraordinary, but on the inside, it's just the result of doing the right things over and over again. The easiest and most powerful way to apply this law is to stop delaying. Close the gap between decision and movement. When you feel the urge to do something important, like starting a project, calling someone, or taking a first step, do it as soon as you can. Resist the delay as aggressively as possible. Hesitation is the primary place where most people lose momentum. That short pause is often what kills the idea. What actually changes things is clear intention, followed by steady action, even if it's not perfect. That is the real engine behind every real transformation you have ever witnessed. Law number 4, the law of correspondence. This law has been around for a very long time. It is expressed in one of the oldest philosophical axioms ever recorded. As above, so below. As within, so without. The law of correspondence states that your outer world is a direct mirror of your inner world. The patterns in your relationships, your finances, your career, your recurring emotional experiences, they correspond with remarkable precision to the beliefs, expectations, and emotional states operating inside you, most of them below the level of conscious awareness. Do not misunderstand me. This is not about blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong. A lot of things are outside your control. What this is asking you to do is look at the patterns that keep showing up in your life. If the same kind of problems keep happening in different situations, the correspondence principle asks you to look inward for where the chaos originates. If money is always a struggle no matter how hard you try, it asks where the scarcity belief is living beneath the surface. The outer world does not generate the inner world. It reflects it. To use this in your life, train yourself to see problems as signals, not just bad luck. When something goes wrong, don't rush straight to fix it on the outside. First, ask yourself what might need to change inside you. Align your self-talk, your deep beliefs, and your habitual emotional orientation with the reality you want to see reflected back, and watch how the correspondence, faithfully and without judgment, begins to change. Law number 5. The law of cause and effect. Known across traditions as karma, this law carries a simple and uncompromising message. Every action sets something in motion. Nothing you do is wasted or ignored. Every thought, every decision, every word you say or choose not to say starts something. It sets things in motion, and those things come back to you in one way or another. The universe is not a random system. There is a clear link between what you do and what you get back. The person who acts consistently with kindness, integrity, and genuinely tries to add value to others is not just being good for no reason. They are building a specific kind of future, one in which trust, goodwill, and opportunity flow back toward them in forms they cannot always predict, but can absolutely count on accumulating. On the other hand, someone who lies, thinks only about quick wins, and ignores how their actions affect others is also shaping a specific future. It may seem to work at first, but it builds problems that come back later. The law is neutral. It works the same for everyone. It doesn't pick sides. You get back what you put out. To apply this in your life, start by taking responsibility for where you are right now instead of blaming everything around you. This is not always comfortable, but it is always empowering, because if your actions caused something, your actions can change it. Become deliberate about the quality of causes you initiate in your work, your relationships, and your internal life, because what you put out doesn't just disappear. It comes back, sooner or later. There's another dimension to this law that most people overlook entirely. It's not just about big actions. It's also about the small things you do every day without thinking. How you talk to yourself when no one is around. The level of effort you give when nobody is watching. The little promises you make to yourself and either keep or ignore. All of these things add up. Over time, they build on each other, and after a while, the results can look sudden or surprising, but they're really just the outcome of those small actions repeated again and again. Law number 6. The law of compensation. This law is about what you give and what you get back. The law of compensation states that you will be compensated in proportion to the genuine value you contribute, to the people around you, to your work, to your community. It might not happen right away, and it might not come in the way you expect. But over time, it adds up. When you give something useful and meaningful, it comes back to you with a precision that becomes visible when you look at enough of life. The most common misunderstanding about this is that most people think this law is only about money. It's not. Compensation arrives as earned trust that unlocks doors logic alone cannot open. It arrives as a reputation built through consistent integrity that compounds over decades into access and opportunity. It arrives as the depth of relationships formed through real contribution, relationships that sustain you in ways that money alone cannot. The person who brings their full and honest effort to whatever they are doing is not just being virtuous, they are activating a law. To apply this in your life, stop focusing so much on what you'll get back. Focus on what you're giving. Bring genuine quality and sincerity to your actions, rather than calibrating your effort to the minimum required for the expected reward. Be patient. Results don't always come quickly, but they do come. And don't expect it to come back in the exact way you gave it. Sometimes it shows up in ways you didn't plan for, but it still counts. Law number 7. The law of attraction. This law is the most widely talked about of the 12, but it's also often misunderstood. The law of attraction does not mean you simply get what you want. It means your life tends to reflect who you are on the inside. The thoughts you repeat most, how you usually feel, and what you deeply believe about yourself and life all shape what shows up around you. In other words, it is not your desires that lead the way. It is your inner state, what you are actually living and believing day to day. This is why some people can visualize their goals every day and repeat affirmations, but nothing changes. Words and images on the surface are not enough. They don't override the frequency running in the deeper architecture of the mind. For example, if a person consciously desires financial success, but subconsciously still believe money is dangerous, or that rich people are corrupt, or that they personally are not the kind of person who succeeds at that level, those deeper subconscious beliefs take control, and those deeper beliefs shape their actions and results without them even noticing. The law is always working. The only question is what your mind is actually set to on a deeper level. This law takes brutal honesty that most people find uncomfortable. It means you don't just ask what you want, but also look at what you truly believe about yourself. Do you believe you can have it? Do you believe you deserve it? Do you think people like you actually get that kind of result? The real work is noticing the difference between what you say you want and what you deeply believe inside. Then slowly changing those inner beliefs so they match. When that gap gets smaller, your life starts to change in noticeable ways. Not because the universe changed, but because you did. A simple way to work with this law is to watch exactly how you react when something you want is actually in front of you. When a real chance to make money shows up, do you feel ready to act, or do you suddenly start overthinking and doubting yourself? When a good relationship starts getting closer, do you open up, or do you pull back and create distance for no clear reason? Those reactions tell you something important. They show where your inner beliefs don't match what you say you want. Once you can see that clearly, you can start changing it. That is the entire work of this law. Law number 8. The law of transmutation of energy. Energy is never created or destroyed. It transforms from one form into another. This is a foundational principle of physics, and it applies with equal force to the energy of human experience. The law of transmutation of energy states that negative energy, such as fear, grief, frustration, anger, disappointment, does not have to become a destructive force in your life. It can be consciously redirected. You can take that energy and transmute it into something that builds rather than harmful. History offers very clear and repeated examples of this principle in action. People who have faced catastrophic personal loss and redirected that energy into movements that went on to help millions. Artists who took their deepest pain and alchemized it into work that endured beyond their lifetime. Entrepreneurs who absorbed devastating failure and used the intensity of that experience as the very force that drove the next chapter of their work to a level they might never have reached otherwise. The energy in each case was real and significant. The transmutation was a deliberate choice. To apply this law, get honest about where your negative energy is currently being directed. Is it being suppressed below the surface, where it accumulates silently and eventually erupts in ways that damage what matters to you? Is it being discharged outward at people who are not responsible for what you are carrying? Or is it being consciously redirected into physical discipline, creative work, focused study, or purposeful service? The energy itself carries no inherent direction. You determine whether it builds or breaks. Law number 9, the law of relativity. Nothing in existence has a fixed meaning on its own. What something means depends on what you compare it to. The law of relativity states that every situation in your life, whether it feels like a big problem or a small one, gets its meaning from how you look at it. The same event can feel heavy or light depending on what you measure it against, and that choice completely belongs to you. Think about two people dealing with the same money problem. One person sees it as a temporary issue. They believe things can improve, so they stay calm and take steps to fix it. The other person sees it as proof that nothing ever works for them. They feel stuck and start to shut down. The situation is the same, but how they look at it is entirely different. And that difference shapes what happens next. You can use this right away. When something feels so difficult, deliberately step back and look at it in a bigger way. Think about your whole life, not just this moment. Remember other problems you've already made it through. Think about people who have faced even tougher situations and still found a way forward. When you do that, the problem starts to feel less final. It doesn't feel like the end anymore. It feels like something you're going through right now, and things you're going through can change. This works the other way too. If you compare yourself to someone who had a head start, more support, or easier conditions, you'll end up feeling behind even when you're doing well. That kind of comparison can kill your motivation. A better way is to look at where you started and what you've had to deal with along the way. When you do that, you get a clearer and more honest view of your progress. And most of the time, you'll see you're doing better than you thought. Law number 10, the law of polarity. Everything has an opposite, and most importantly, those opposites are not separate things. They are just different expressions of the same thing. Hot and cold are both temperature. Light and dark are both part of the same electromagnetic continuum. Fear and courage both responses to the same perceived stakes, just at different levels. The law of polarity states that opposites are not enemies. They are the same energy at different degree. If you truly understand this, it means you can change how you relate to everything. When you are at a low point of any experience, feeling stuck, failing, or going through a hard time, the law of polarity is carrying a specific message. The opposite of where you are right now already exists on the same continuum. You do not need a completely new life. You just need to move step by step in a better direction from where you are. Also, the harder the struggle feels, the more it can point to how strong the positive side can be. Big challenges often come before big progress, if you keep moving forward. To apply this in your life means stop treating hard moments like they are the permanent verdicts about your life. Tough times don't last forever. Things change. A slow season can pick up again. A setback can lead to something better, even if it doesn't look like it at first. Instead of fighting every uncomfortable moment, accept that both good and bad are part of life. Use the low points as time to learn, adjust, and prepare, so you're ready when things start to improve again. Law number 11, the law of rhythm. Everything in the universe moves in cycles. There are times when things are going well and you feel strong, and times when things slow down and you feel tired. This is normal. Human energy rises with discipline and falls with exhaustion. The law of rhythm states that these cycles are not disruptions to an otherwise stable existence. They are the natural operating pattern of all living systems. Instead of fighting these ups and downs, learn to work with them. When you have energy, use it. When things slow down, rest and reset. If you understand this pattern, you stop wasting energy trying to stay at the same level all the time, and you start moving smarter. The biggest mistake people make in relation to this law is thinking every low moment means something is broken for good. A business slows down, motivation drops, a relationship feels less exciting for a while. That doesn't mean something has failed. It's just part of the natural up and down of life. You can't remove the slow phases. They always come back around. The real question is how you handle them. They are a chance to rest, think clearly, and adjust. They give you space to see what you usually miss when everything is busy. To work with this law, start paying attention to your own patterns. Notice when you feel most energetic during the day, and when you tend to slow down. Notice how your energy changes across the week, or even through different times of the year. Also pay attention to when you feel creative and when you feel like you need to withdraw and replenish. Instead of forcing yourself to perform the same way all the time, match your harder tasks to your high energy periods. Use your lower energy periods for rest, reflection, and lighter work. When you stop fighting your natural rhythm and start working with it, things become easier and more effective. Working intelligently with rhythm is always more effective than working against it. There is also a collective dimension of this law worth understanding. Businesses go through cycles. Trends rise and fade. Even how people talk about things in society changes over time. Relationships also move through phases that repeat in patterns. When you understand this, you stop panicking every time things shift. You start seeing the pattern instead of reacting emotionally to each moment. It also helps you make better decisions. You can prepare during slower times, build when things are calm, and avoid pushing too hard when everything is already at its peak. Law number 12, the law of gender. This final law is the one most frequently bypassed or misunderstood, largely because its name leads people to assume it is about biological sex. This is not about biological sex. It's about two basic forces that exist in everything. The law of gender states that within all things, within every person, every creative endeavor, every natural system, there exist two complementary and necessary principles. One force is about doing, creating, and moving outward. The other is about receiving, reflecting, and going inward. Both exist in every person and in every process. Neither is better than the other. Both are needed. Every person uses both sides in different moments, and both are necessary for anything to grow or develop. The generative principle is the energy of action, assertion, focus, forward momentum, and execution. The receptive principle is the energy of intuition, patience, openness, listening, and integration. Neither is superior. Neither is complete without the other. The person who operates entirely from the generative side becomes rigid, exhausted, and increasingly disconnected from the intuitive intelligence that makes their action truly effective. The person who operates entirely from the receptive side tends toward passivity, holding potential that never fully arrives in the world. Real power lives in the deliberate integration of both. To apply this law, look honestly at which of these two principles you have been systematically neglecting. If you are always producing, always pushing, always judging, and measuring your progress by visible results, then you need to learn stillness. Learn to listen. Learn to create space for understanding instead of forcing every answer through effort alone. If you are someone who thinks a lot, reflects deeply, but struggles to turn that into real action, then you need to practice moving before everything feels ready or perfect. The fullest version of who you are only shows up when both sides work together. That balance is where your real potential becomes active. Those are the 12 universal laws. The law of divine oneness, the law of vibration, the law of action, the law of correspondence, the law of cause and effect, the law of compensation, the law of attraction, the law of transmutation of energy, the law of relativity, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, and the law of gender. Mentioning them like this, they look simple and take only a few seconds to read. But actually living by them and really applying them in daily life takes years of understanding and practice. It's not just information you read once. It's something you learn through experience over time. Every repeating pattern in your life, Every breakthrough that feels sudden, and every struggle that keeps showing up in different forms, is connected to one or more of these laws. The real difference is not whether they affect you. They always do. The difference is whether you understand them and work with them on purpose, or you move through life without noticing them. When you are not aware, life still follows these patterns automatically. When you become aware, you can start using them intentionally. That is when real change stops being random and starts becoming something steady and long-lasting. If this gave you something useful, subscribe to the channel. This is the kind of content we focus on here, not shallow motivation or random information, but real understanding of the principles that shape how people think, act, and live. See you in the next one.